time. So let's start with the podcast that we have. So guys, today we have Udi with us, and as he mentioned, he works at Commodore as a developer relations engineer, and along with that, he also manages an open source project. So Udi, can you introduce yourself to the community? I mean, what you do and the open source projects that are there and things like that.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Udi Hofesh. I'm 33 years old. I'm married. I have two pets, no children yet. I have a small dog and a cat. And my background is actually in marketing, journalism, um, and even stand-up comedy, which I was doing before the pandemic. And after the pandemic hit, I've decided to make a shift into tech. I wanted to take my skills in marketing and copywriting and breaking down concepts into stories that people can understand and relate to. I decided to take those skills and transfer them into tech. And for the past 2 years, just over 2 years, I've been working at Commodore.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll get more into it later, but I haven't started, I wasn't recruited for a DevRel position. I started, like the title of the position I was recruited for was marketing operations.
Okay.
And what it really meant is you do everything marketing does because we are a startup and and you are the 12th employee. And so this was just like an umbrella term for everything to do with marketing and later on sales as well. So I was the first marketing employee and I was the first sales employee. I was doing it supposedly 50-50. And then as we grew on as a company, and we started recruiting more and more people. So suddenly, I had team members. I had people who are doing events. I had someone doing um, paid campaigns. I had a lot of different functions. There was a whole sales department. So now there's a head of sales, and you have sales reps and BDRs and
Mm,
everything. So it's not just like one person doing everything. You have like professional people doing specific roles that they are professional in. This is like every startup goes through this stage. So at
yeah.
the beginning, you have generalists who do a lot of things and can do everything in a kind of scrapey way and just keep going. Then you start growing. You need professionals. You need people
Yeah.
who are professionals in events, professionals in product and sales. So this is what happened to us. And as I got more and more responsibilities transferred away from me to other people, um, what I was left with was basically the community and our social media. And I took steps um, to utilize those. Like by that time, I had enough experience within Commodore doing marketing and doing sales, meeting with our customers, potential customers, understanding the ecosystem, understanding the communities, the pain points of the people that we are building our product for. So all of those things, all of those experiences helped me transition into a DevRel position, which didn't exist at Commodore, and I had to invent it basically.
Yeah.
So because my CEO, my manager, they vaguely understood what DevRel means, so I had to educate them and explain to them what is DevRel, why it's important to the organization, and why I can do it. So this is what I did, and I've been doing it officially for as a DevRel in my title. I think for over a year or a year and a half, maybe.
Okay.
And this is the long story of how I became a DevRel at Commodore.
Okay, so I mean, I'm just curious about it. You said that you were into marketing and sales, before, joining Commodore and before the pandemic and things like that. So, I mean, did you have any sort of technical experience when you were joining Commodore, or, did you pick up those skills while, you were working there as doing all the marketing and sales things?
Mhm. So yeah, I did not have a lot of technical background. I was unlike many DevRels, I did not have experience as a developer beforehand. Most developers do. Most developers start. Most devs start out as developers, and then they sort of transition into that world of developer relations. I didn't. I learned everything on the job while working at Commodore. I learned about DevOps, about Kubernetes, about our ecosystem, and um, it's not easy for everyone. For me, it was an advantage. Well, it would have been easier for me if I had some background, some experience. It would have made the ramp up a lot quicker.
Hmm.
But it did help me in the sense that it forced me, because I'm not super technical, or I wasn't super technical back then, so I needed the complex concepts to be broken down into simple terms that I can understand. So, but by the process of doing it, I also learned it for myself. Like I could explain to myself what is Kubernetes, something that is so complex and so hard to explain in just one sentence. So I learned how to explain it for myself, but then it also gave me the skills to explain it to everyone. Because now, using like concepts from day-to-day life, I can explain what is the cloud, what is Kubernetes, what is DevOps, and this helps me to do my job better, because even like everyone needs a good story to understand anything.
Yeah.
So this helps me tell the story of Commodore, of Kubernetes. It allows me to explain better to anyone why Commodore is a good solution for them, why they should use it, or just hearing them, hearing people out and understanding what they're talking about. So they can be talking in text speak, and
Hmm.
I'm already able to translate it in my head and understand what's the underlying. So maybe I don't know, I don't understand exactly the way the networking works um, in complex setups, but I can understand the underlying pain or frustration, or whatever that person, the developer in my case, is feeling, and so I can relate to it more.
Okay, okay. Yeah,
Uh,
I guess that's the entire gist of DevRel, being a DevRel. I mean, being able to, show the developers how, I guess, something that you're building, your product or something like that can be useful to them, to the community and things like that. So you mentioned, like while introducing yourself, that initially you had to explain to your CEO what DevRel is. So, I mean, going along that lines, can you explain, like, I mean, what exactly is DevRel?
so if you ask three DevRels, what is DevRel, you'll get four different answers probably. But to put it in simple terms, DevRel is marketing for developers. So if you really break it down, that's what it is. So the developers are uh, tough not to crack,
Yeah.
so to speak, for because like traditional marketing tactics don't work on developers.
Hmm.
They are more sophisticated, they are more tech savvy, they understand the mechanics of Google and paid campaigns and SEO. So it's not as easy to reach them
Yeah,
on one
I
hand.
guess
On the
they need
other hand,
to, I guess they need to understand technically how to, use a product before they choose to, use some dependency or anything like that.
Exactly. Yeah, it's more because automatically developers, when they hear a new product or a new or pitch, they automatically start thinking, okay, how is it going to work? How is it going to integrate with my day-to-day operations of what I'm doing? And so you can talk to them in like slogans and marketing fluff that doesn't mean anything. It's like we are going to revolutionize your application lifecycle. Okay, how exactly are you going to do that? Why
Yeah.
is it the best? Why is it revolutionary? Okay, and how can I measure it? And what? So uh, you can't just do that. So you have to a speak to them in their language, and b um, find a way to translate the value of the product, what you're offering them, in a way that resonates with them, that clicks, that they understand. Oh, okay, this is why this product is good for me. And it's not
Hmm.
that marketing doesn't work on developers. They're still humans. They still have emotions. They're still susceptible to manipulations of all sorts. And marketing is a form of manipulation. It just has to be in a different way. And this is why DevRel was invented.
Hmm.
And it has different aspects of it. I see like DevRel somewhere between, as like the bridge between product, sales, and marketing.
Yeah.
And if a DevRel is good, it's hard. Like one of the biggest challenges for DevRels today is measuring their value through KPIs or what. Like, how do you even measure DevRel?
Hmm. Yeah.
But but it's something that's easy to feel. Like when a DevRel is doing his job well, so you see people from the product team, they get constant feedback. They know how to improve the product. They keep getting like a stream of user feedback from the community, from the user base. Um, they get like hints from the developer, like maybe from the developer experience perspective. That
Hmm.
is, developer can say, look, it would make more sense for me as a user if the button was on this side, or if you make this a different color, or if even small little tweaks in the UI or the flow of the product that can improve the overall experience for users. This is a place where develop can create value. For
Hmm.
sales, the DevRel is the one that's able to produce content or digest like the dry feature releases, like the product release notes, and turn
Hmm.
them into something that enables sales. That the sales rep can use and say, "Hey, here is a short clip of a demo of our product that our developer did with blah blah blah," and this helps them close deals more. And the more they have assets, the more their job is easier because they don't have to remember everything themselves. They don't have to talk a lot. They can just let the content or the product speak for itself. And
Hmm.
for marketing, it's also in like the terms of awareness, helping people find out about your product, that the product exists. I can say that for at us at Commodore, when a sales rep is doing a cold call or trying to reach someone, and he says, "I'm from Commodore," and they say, and from the other side they hear, "Oh yeah, I know Commodore. I've heard about you." So
Hmm.
immediately it makes them the job a lot easier because okay, he already knows about Commodore. You don't have to spend a lot of time convincing him, telling him all about our story and why we're great. He already heard about us, so I can jump forward to the next stage. So this is where I see Devil existing between those three functions in the organization. And you have different types. You have people who are more strong, got stronger on the product side. They were developers for a long time beforehand. They have experienced all the pain points of being a developer,
Hmm.
and so they bring more value to the product side, to the R&D. Some are more good in creating relationships and building communities, and so they're more focused on the community side. And others are better at content. Maybe they're not the best to be in the forefront, but they're good at writing content or
Hmm.
doing video content. All of those things can be part of a DevRel job, and in some places you would have a DevRel dedicated for everyone. Like companies that are big and have a huge DevRel team, you would have people doing. For example, I know a company called Riskified, and they have a DevRel that her entire job is helping the R&D team with public speaking, with storytelling. And so all of our job is internal, just helping developers come to the front light and become better as public speakers. All of this also helps the overall awareness, branding of the company. So everyone is serving the same goal. Ultimately, but the road is different. Different people take different routes. Like I said, I'm less technical, so I'm more on the content side and the community building side, and I use my friends and colleagues from Commodore to help mitigate with the technical side. So if I want to help people solve some problems that I don't have the skills, the technical skills to solve, I
Hmm.
have good relations with people within Commodore or outside of Commodore that I can kind of connect and help them help each other.
Okay, so I mean, you mentioned that it's pretty difficult to measure the outcome of what DevRel does, and the KPIs are hard to define, right? For a
Mhm.
DevRel. So I mean, in like when we talk about the day-to-day tasks that you do, right? So what do DevRels usually do? Is it all about just content creation, or writing documentations, or creating code samples and things like that, or is it like more than that?
I would say that like all of my answers, it depends on the needs and the size and the circumstances of the organization.
Hmm.
I will say though that um, content isn't level isn't all about content creation. Content is just the medium, the means for you um, to decimate value. For example, um, if you want um, basically you want to your job is to identify the pain of your audience, of your
Hmm.
developer audience, and for us it's developers in the Kubernetes space, but it doesn't matter. It can be Java developers, it can be front-end developers, it can be whatever is your solution. You need to first understand and be empathetic enough to understand what's their pain point. First of all, identify their pain, and then find out how you can solve it using your product. So this is like the gist of what DevRel is all about, and content is just the way to use it. So, for example, you need to educate the market about the problem. So maybe you write blog posts
Hmm.
about the challenges of Kubernetes developers or the challenges of CSS developers, whatever your audience is. So you are producing content, but the idea is to highlight something, to highlight this gap in the industry. For example, for us, we're talking a lot about the knowledge gap. That suddenly developers are expected to own their applications end to end and do ops as well and maintain and do things that are not natural to them
Hmm.
because it was traditionally more the responsibility of the ops team. So for us, for example, writing a blog post about the challenges of Kubernetes developers, I'm writing content, but basically I'm just illuminating a problem and I'm telling developers like, hey, here is what's holding you back right now. Do you agree with this? Does it resonate with you? And if it does, then it means I did a good job. But then again, you can also do webinar. to let people know about the product, or do a live demo about the product to let people know that it exists. So this falls under awareness. And
Mm,
then when they already know about the product and they understand that it solves their issue, they need to know how to use it. So then you're doing more content about how to use the product, how to get started. You do tutorials, you improve documentation,
mm,
maybe you do a workshop about it. But ultimately, your goal is not to, you're not creating content just for content creation. You have SEO agencies to do that for you, to just
mm,
create content that has all the right keywords to make people on Google find your website. This is another thing, but for DevRel, all the content that you're doing is serving this other greater purpose, which is solving some type of pain, some type of challenge. And so, yeah, you are doing a lot of content, but the content is not the main thing. The content is just the medium through which you transfer knowledge. And sometimes it's not about content, it's about connections and networking and making people feel like they're a part of something greater. And that is what community means. So
mm,
if you're organizing events, meetups, you're also giving some value there. You're also sharing some type of content, probably. But there, the main focus is about the human connection, about people actually seeing each other face to face, interacting, having fun. So we have like some maybe a different goal over there. But yeah, I hope that answers the question.
yeah. So I mean, we also mentioned about communities, how they usually help us and networking and things like that. So I mean, according to your experience, I mean, since you've been working as a DevRel, uh, how do you leverage these communities to help you grow professionally and grow your network and things like that?
Mhm. So I think it's good if you're looking to start in DevRel. I think joining some communities is a must. One is just to see how it works, to observe, to look like what does a good and healthy community look like? What's the size of a good community? How active it is? Does it have interactions every single day, or maybe once a week is good enough? All those different
Hmm.
things that you will learn from your experience. Like I join a community, and then I see, do I like being a part of this community? If I do, then why? What makes it fun? What makes me want to be a part of this community? If it doesn't, then why? Why don't I want to be part of this community? Why don't I feel like I belong? So um, it's just good to learn from it. Like for example, I've joined the data on Kubernetes community and the community manager is a guy called Bart Farrell, which is he's a really cool guy.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, So I think what makes his community so great is that they have those rituals. If you've ever joined one of their talks, so before every session, he has this big horn that he blows, and he brings it over to conferences, and it's like a silly thing, but it's a tradition. Every community, every group has their own traditions, their own rituals, their own kind of symbols. So, this is something that I personally learned from joining a community, a different community. So I said, like, this is what makes this great. This is what makes it fun. They have all those little rituals and symbols, and and it's something unique to them. It's like a private joke that only you and your friends understand.
Hmm.
So this is something that I learned, that it's important to create this differentiation, to have those little small rituals that are unique to you. Um, so this is one example of why it's good to join a community. Another one is that you meet a lot of good people, a lot of interesting people that can help you grow more. So if I make a good relationship with people in a community, I can use their help for my benefit. And if I help them in the past, they would be more um, happy to help me in return. So a lot of it is also finding ways to help people. And I think as a general rule of thumb for community building and for DevRel is always give before you take.
Yeah.
So never hesitate to give. If you have an opportunity to help someone, maybe for you it takes like 2 minutes to just look up something and give it to that person. For him, it can be life changing. It can be like, wow, I can't believe you helped me. Not just because you gave me something valuable that I could use, but just the fact that you were willing to take out time from your day and help me means the world. And I know about myself that when I started out in DevRel, I reached out to some more experienced DevRels and I asked if maybe I can buy them a coffee and pick their brains and kind of get some help and guidance.
Mm.
And to this day, I remember the ones that did say yes without knowing me, without owing me anything,
Mm.
just saying, yeah, sure, why not? I'll be happy to help you and share with you my experience. And I also remember those who didn't. So the same goes the other way. I try to help people when I can. When I see an opportunity to help, I jump on it because I know that I can also I can make someone's day by helping him, and
Mm.
also create like a meaningful relationship that may be useful in the future and maybe not. But that's the whole point. You help people without knowing if it's going to be in your benefit eventually or not. Most of the times you will get something back out of it. You will always, even just having your name out there as someone who likes to help people and
Mm.
someone who you can always come to for advice, that's also valuable. Even if you didn't get something tangible in return, it's still valuable that you have this kind of your name and your brand is that you are a helper. You're someone who is here to give back.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess there's this, misconception when we talk about events and communities and things like that. A lot of people think that being a DevRel means that you travel a lot. You have to travel a lot. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in your experience, do you usually travel a lot? How is it like? Do you feel fatigued after traveling? Things like that.
I don't think it gives you a lot of opportunities to travel, but I don't think it's mandatory or that it forces you
Hmm.
to travel a lot. I do travel more than I used to because I used to be able to go once, maybe twice a year abroad on a holiday. And now I get to travel maybe four more times a year to different
Hmm.
conferences. And I do have the opportunity to travel to even more conferences and places, but I don't always have the budget for it. So not always the company can invest in your travels,
Hmm.
and not always you can find a sponsor or something to help you go there. So it's not like you get like a frequent flyer pass as soon as you become a DevRel and you start traveling across the world. It's not exactly like that, but you do get the opportunities. And if it coincides um, with the budget that you have or the organization has and the goals of the organization, then definitely you will get to travel more. You will definitely travel more than you have in the past, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be like just going from airport to airport every day. So I'm definitely not fatigued by it. It hasn't changed my life significantly, but I did, like, short answer is I did get to travel more than I used to in the past, but that's not that's not the whole that's not
Okay.
the whole reality of
Yeah.
DevRel.
Yeah. So earlier you mentioned that, there are, benefits in terms of growing and networking when you attend these community events that happen. So can you elaborate on what are the benefits of attending community events and things like that?
Hmm.
Even in the local community, I
So
mean, you don't have to travel somewhere, even if it's in your city. I mean, the event that is happening.
it's, yeah, it's true. You don't have to travel far. Almost every place in the world has some developer community or some meetup group. Like, honestly, I've seen places I would never thought I travel to,
Yeah,
but they have those meetups, those conferences. So the options are endless. I think it's really good to attend those. Um, like I said, even just getting to know people, understanding who's who in the community is super helpful. From a business perspective, I would also say that it's important to learn about the ecosystem, whatever you're aiming for as a developer, understand the ecosystem of that space. Who are the big players? Who are the competitors? Um, how do they present themselves? So a booth at a conference can say a lot about a company. So you can just walking around the conference, looking at different booths and how those companies are advertising themselves, also gives you a lot of knowledge that you can later use for your own purposes.
yeah,
And of course, the best thing you can do at those events is networking, just being friendly, talking to people, getting to know them. It's always helpful to have like a lot of people in your network. It's not always immediate. It's not always like you meet someone at a conference and then after a week he already has a job proposal for you. But you never know. It's like seeds
yeah, yeah,
when you're going to those events. You never know what's going to happen. Maybe some amazing opportunity will come of it. Maybe not. But either way, always good to have. It's always good to know people, and it's good that people know who you are. So I can't stress this enough. Go to events, go to meetups, meet as many people as you can, and hopefully you'll get to travel to bigger events and travel abroad as well, and and then you can see like people from other countries and how their communities look like. So it's interesting for me to meet people from who have like same communities, like in the same space, in the DevOps space, but a community from Mumbai versus a community from Amsterdam versus the community from Lisbon or the US. It's just interesting to see like different types of communities and how they have different characteristics based on the geography.
geography, yeah,
Um, so yeah, go to events.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, since you've been maintaining community at Commodore, what are like how is your experience, maintaining a community, seeing it grow each and every
Mhm.
day, things like that?
I can say that it's a lot of fun watching it grow. So it's very satisfying. Like if you've ever tried to grow a house plant, and
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you water it, you put some fertilizer, you maybe change the pot to a bigger one, but uh, it's fun when you get to see it grow. So it's satisfying. You know, I put my effort into it, and now I get to see it grow. And it's not just my effort because I can't be a community of one. It's like a collaborative effort. Anyone who's even if you're active like me because I have an interest in it, and even if you're not active at all, you're just someone who likes to read or doesn't even actively participate. Everyone had something to do with it. So it's even more satisfying than just growing a house plant on your own. It's more like sowing a field, and like the whole village works on that piece of field and grows it together and then enjoys the fruits of their labor together.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is how it feels. I would say that the hardest part, um, it's hard to do it alone,
Hmm.
to be like the only community maintainer. And maybe you also have that same experience in this community, but my biggest challenge was getting more people from Commodore on board. So it's not only me always doing all the announcement and me always creating all the engagement within the community. So
Hmm.
it can be different people, and this also gives like the impression that the community is big and it has like a big core of maintainers. And also, it's more fun for the community members that they can interact with different people from Commodore and see like the whole spectrum of humans that we have and not just one person, which is me. So I always strive to, like if there's a webinar, so I want the speaker to post it on the Slack channel and not me. If we have
Hmm.
a new blog, so I want the writer to post and share it with the community rather than me doing all the sharing. But it's hard to get everyone involved and get because I'm a community manager at Commodore. This is my job. Developers have a different job. They are supposed to write code and build new features. So doing posts on the community is not part of their KPIs or their day-to-day.
Hmm.
So it's always a challenge to get them on board and use their help to um, so as to not be the only voice of the
Of the
community and have
community, yeah.
more voices. And
Yeah.
the next stage after that, the most amazing stage is when people are organically growing from within the community and becoming taking on more responsibility and becoming more sort of leaders in the community. This is the best when someone who just joined to learn and share knowledge suddenly not suddenly, it's gradual, it
Yeah,
takes time,
gradually.
but at some point he becomes or she becomes someone who is like a moderator or an active contributor in the community, or this is like the best thing to see happen.
Yeah, I mean, even in our
Mhm.
community, we have Prakhar here who has had a similar journey in the community. I mean, contributing bits by bits into it, and then eventually, becoming an admin of the community, hosting hangout sessions and things like that. So, huge shout out to Prakhar as well, along with a few other guys. I mean, all the audience that is here, most of them are active members of the communities, and I mean, since I mean, it's exam time going in colleges and things like that. A lot of people, would be watching it later on YouTube. But yeah, I mean, I've had similar experiences, in community, seeing all of it, how people, gradually start, becoming active and taking up responsibilities and things like that. So I totally agree with that. I mean, seeing it grow is just an amazing feeling that is in front of you. Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah.
I
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, you were saying something?
Oh no, no, I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, I just wanted to like ask you that since I mean Commodore has some things that are open sourced as well. So what are your experiences, being an open source contributor as well as, maintaining those things?
hmm Uh, this is an interesting experience doing open source because it's like working on something with the whole world, and it's even more exciting than mm, maintaining the Slack community, for example,
Hmm.
because here you have people actually building stuff, writing code, and it's like when you write. Um, if you work for a company as a developer and you're doing the code review, so you would have like one, maybe two persons reviewing your code before pushing it to production. And with open source, you have thousands,
Hmm.
hundreds of thousands of people potentially reviewing your code, improving it, adding their own stuff. And it's like building a big Lego structure, and everyone can put their own bricks, everyone can do something different, but at the end, it becomes one structure. It can always change again, it can always grow more, and you can always add more on top of it, but it's one solid structure that's comprised of different, many pieces that people from around the world all joined in to build together. So this is how I see it and why it's exciting for me. And we've had two open source projects. One of them, the first one was called ValidCube, which
Hmm.
had moderate success. And the second one was Helm Dashboard, which had a huge success. And I think mainly due to the fact that it was a very simple and elegant solution for a very big problem. So if, for those who don't know, Helm is a package manager for Kubernetes. So it's like NPM for Java, if I'm not mistaken about the comparison here.
Hmm.
So Helm is very complicated to manage through CLI because you need to keep track of so many different things, like the Helm charts are changing and getting updated. And part of the complexity is that Helm is not just a package manager, it's also a repo. So all of this creates a complex situation,
Hmm.
and that's very hard to manage using CLI alone. So we created the Helm dashboard to visualize everything, and this was a winner because it was a simple solution. Just have a graphic UI. You can
Hmm.
see here is your chart. Here is the revision history. Here are the new charts that are available. Very simple, very lightweight, but the problem that it solves is huge. Everyone using Helm from a certain scale has this pain. So this was a kudos to our open source team, the CTO, ETL, and Andre, who is the main developer behind it. So kudos to them for building it and identifying it. This was a huge part of the product success.
Hmm.
And the second part of its success, and I'm not saying that they're both equal, but the other part of the success was the marketing side, being able to put it out there because the the project was live for I think 2 weeks before we announced it publicly. So you could see that it was the same product, the same value, the same everything, just people not knowing about it enough versus people knowing about it.
Hmm.
So once we went public and started announcing it everywhere possible and the marketing machine started working, so we started seeing more and more people come to Helm Dashboard, start using the product, giving it a star on GitHub, and it just exploded within a matter of a week. We already passed the 1,000 stars mark, and 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 this was an amazing experience
Yeah, I guess
for me to see.
I guess one of the main reasons why I guess open source is amazing is that people feel very inclusive. I mean, when they are building something together and when they care about the code base. I mean, as you mentioned, if let's say the code base is a private one, then at max there would be a couple of people reviewing it. But then when it becomes an open source project, then you get thousands of people who are reviewing, who are creating issues, who are addressing other issues and things like that. So I mean, just the inclusive feeling that you get of, being able to contribute into a large code base that a lot of people use, and the difference that you're making with your contributions, I guess, like being a part of it is one of the best feelings that open source can offer. Obviously, I mean, it helps you grow in your career as well, but I think this is a huge plus of, just being a part of something huge.
Yeah, I agree, and I also think, to your point, that in open source, it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. People don't see the color of your skin or your age or where you work. They only see your contribution.
Yeah,
And if the contribution is good, it will be merged, it will become a part of the project. Even if it doesn't have to be code, by the way, a lot of great contributions are to the documentation or the um, other assets for like tutorials or stuff like that. So
hmm,
it doesn't have to even have to be code, but yeah, when you make a contribution, no one's checking to see like your entire history to see if
yeah,
it's
yeah,
worthwhile. They look at the code and the code speaks for itself. That's
yeah. The
another
the
good.
inclusivity of open
Mm.
source is amazing. Yeah,
Yep, that's true. And like you said, it's also helpful in job seeking. It's like your resume, it's like your portfolio. Um, I know people who have found development jobs just using the their GitHub
yeah, yeah,
repo,
yeah, yeah,
just sharing their contributions, what they've built, what they've done. This is amazing. It's better than any resume you can write.
yeah, yeah. A lot of developers, I mean, they just share their GitHub account instead of, sending their CV because, I mean, that's what actually matters. Yeah. So, I mean, since we've been talking about DevRel, so according to you, what are some of the skills that you think are essential for a DevRel to have?
I think the first and foremost is empathy. Um, this is the starting point, I think, because everything else can be taught. Technical skills can be taught, marketing skills can be taught. I think it's a combination of a few, like we spoke about in the previous questions, that DevRel is not just one thing, it's bridging between a few areas in the organization. So um, I think in terms of like skills you can uh, learn, storytelling is number one,
Hmm.
because basically this is what you do. You're telling a story, whether you're telling it through like technical writing or through a video or through whatever. At the end of the day, it's all storytelling. So I think this is an important skill to learn. Then some basic understanding of marketing and business side of things, just just to get a clear picture of how organizations work. What's the role of marketing? What does the marketing funnel look like, and how a DevRel fits into that funnel? Um, are you doing content that's more aimed at awareness? Are you doing more to convert people to active users within the product? Just knowing all of those things is also super valuable. And then finally, it's like more the technical, like the logistics of it, like video editing, some web design,
Hmm.
perhaps, a bit of graphic design, um, social media management, stuff like
Yeah,
that are
yeah.
also helpful, because when you're doing dev, you do find yourself doing marketing and promotion on social media, and you do need, like, I imagine you don't have a whole graphics team, and you probably had to prepare the banner for this podcast on
Hmm.
your own.
Yeah.
So so you do need to learn some Photoshop, some video editing, some a bit of everything. But starting from storytelling. And even before the storytelling, one important skill for life in general, and, and just for being a good devil is empathy. And when I say empathy, I mean not just caring about people, not just feeling sorry for people who have it bad or whatever. Empathy means being able to see the world through someone else's eyes, but to
Hmm.
really see it through their eyes, not just imagining yourself in their shoes, because if you were in someone else's shoes, you would react differently than them to that
Hmm.
same situation.
Yeah.
You would behave differently. Like me, Udi, sitting in your shoes, I would behave like Udi with Apoorv circumstances, and
Got
vice
it.
versa. If you were in my shoes, you would behave like you would have my life circumstances, but you would still react to them the way you react. Empathy means looking through your eyes and like acting the way you would act in that situation or thinking the way you would think. This is invaluable. I think this is the key to everything because when you can do that, you can tell a better story. You know what needs to be done. You understand the pain. If you're really empathetic, you can understand the pain better and then find the solution to that pain. Otherwise, you're not exactly identifying the right pain. Maybe you're thinking about your own pain. Maybe you're reflecting in some way, and you're not exactly um, pinpointing the exact problem that your audience has. And then you're also not able to provide the exact and most accurate solution for them.
Yeah, makes sense. So, I
Uh,
mean,
that- uh,
it's about time that we wrap this up. But before we do, I have one last question for you. So,
mhm,
like, since you've been working as a DevRel, actually, I've got two questions, right? So, the first one is that,
mhm,
a lot of people mention that it's better to have, some sort of technical skills or some sort of, coding background before you get into DevRel. So, I mean,
mhm.
since you started, without having any technical experience and things like that, what do you usually recommend? I mean, to someone who wants to start out? Should they, focus a little bit on the development side before getting into DevRel, or, pick up these soft skills like empathy and things like that, and, start with DevRel and eventually pick up the technical skills?
I think that it's it's easier to pick up technical skills than soft skills, in my opinion. And I think it's as a DevRel, you are not part of the core development team. So your day-to-day isn't about writing code, delivering features, etc. So you don't have to be such a good developer to become a good DevRel. So it is important to have technical background. It will make your life easier. So but if you have to choose what to learn first, what to do before what, I would focus first on the soft skills, on understanding um, the other parts of this role that are not related specifically to coding. Um, like I said, marketing, SEO, understanding the business goals and KPIs. I think learning like those things first will make you either a better developer or a better developer eventually. Because then once you pick up the technical skills, it's it you will already have like a fertile ground to grow it on. So
Yeah.
I think it's better than the other way around where you're really good technically, you have like some programming languages really deeply. You understand infrastructure. You're amazing, but okay, now that you have all of that technical knowledge, start creating value from it. Start creating content. Start doing all the things that you're supposed to do as a developer. Suddenly, it's harder to start. I can say that I've started with zero technical experience. It for the folks listening, I imagine, have more than zero experience. If you're part of this community, so you must have at least some level of knowledge. So you already are at a better starting point than I was. And and if you add to that some soft skills, some like a track record of organizing a meetup or organizing an online event or an online community or delivering a talk. Maybe you do a few speaking sessions and record them, and then you have part of that as well. It already makes you a better candidate for DevRel, a more versatile candidate than someone who's just really good technically. And it will also differentiate you. It will make you more rare because it's really hard to find people who have both, who have all the technical skills and
Hmm.
also enough of the soft skills. If you can combine them in a meaningful way, it doesn't have to be 50-50, but if you do find that combination, you set yourself up for success. You become like a rare animal that is hard to find, and you are automatically more valuable to anyone who's looking to hire you.
Okay, and like what are some of the, what are some of the things that you like about being a DevRel and some of the things that, you don't like as much being a DevRel?
Mhm. So one thing that's nice, having been through different roles within Commodore, I can say that being in this position is it's nice because I can focus on actually helping people and just being myself and really listening and giving my honest response, as opposed to being in sales or marketing, where every conversation, every interaction has an end goal of selling. So
Yeah,
I would have a conversation with someone, and it's a really good conversation. I would love to talk more, and just go into unrelated topics and like, oh, maybe we like the same movies or video games, or maybe
yeah,
I want to talk about that more than Kubernetes. Um, so in DevRel I can, because I don't have that hanging over my head, or that KPI, that goal that I need to bring, to sell, to bring clients, to bring pipeline. I can just enjoy conversation. So this is a part that I really like. And to elaborate on that, so it also means that I get to meet new people and create genuine interactions with them, same as I've had with you. And like I've met Kunal, and then Kunal introduced me to you, and now I'm here talking with your community and being a part of it as well.
yeah,
And so it's like always going. You always find out there's like I wouldn't even know about virtual tech school if I wasn't introduced to you.
hmm,
So, like, you think you know everything, you know all the people, you know all the communities, and then boom, you have six 6,000 people that you've never met yet, and now I have. So this is another cool part of DevRel. And just to give something bad, so it doesn't sound like commercial. So for me, the downside of it, the thing I hate the most or dislike, is being constantly online. So
hmm,
because when you're managing a community, you have people from different time zones, different schedules, people writing, commenting, engaging in different times of the day and on different platforms. If it was all happening in one place, it would have been easier. But since it's like that movie, happening everywhere all at once, so um, so it just forces me to be online all the time, to be on Twitter all day, and then on Slack and on LinkedIn and on Discord, and just jumping from place to place, so I never miss anything. So this is also It makes me feel bad because I can never catch up. Always there's someone who's waiting a day or two for a response, no matter how hard I try.
Yeah,
And and the other part of it is that it kind of disconnects me from the real world because I have to be
so
on
much
top of
online. Yeah,
online all the time. Yeah, yeah, it's hard, and I encourage people to, as much as you can, to be offline and just go out, enjoy the day somewhere in nature as much as you can. I have less of that luxury now because I have to be online so much.
got it. So I think that was the last question for today, and I think we got a lot of good insights from Udi, because I mean a lot of people have been curious about what this DevRel is and things like that. So I guess you
Mhm,
saying that empathy is one of the most important skills for DevRel, a soft skill to have, just to be like having that ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes and just see it from their perspective and then try to help them. Right, that's one of the key learnings for us from
mhm,
today, because not just for DevRel, I think it is an important skill as humans. Right, I mean at the end of the day we are all humans and we all have our own
mhm,
problems to deal with. So it's important that we cut some slack to people who uh, might not be having it good or things like that. And apart from that, getting to know about day-to-day things that happens and for a DevRel, and how I mean I can totally relate when you said that you have to be online all the time and jump from platform to platform, in order to stay connected and know what's going on, and just keep the community engaged and things like that. So I mean, I totally understand that, and I think it was a very nice session. The recording for this session would be available on my YouTube. And Udi, would you like to add anything to the community?
mhm. It's been great being here. It was my first time on Discord podcast, and so thanks for inviting me and having me here. It was fun, and I invite all of you to learn more about DevRel if this is what you're looking for. You can find me on Twitter at Hofesh if you want to reach out and ask more questions. And you're also welcome to join Commodore's community on Slack. And maybe I'll give you the links later and you can share them along with the
Yeah,
recording.
yes,
And if you are by any chance in the Kubernetes space, or you're a DevOps or an SRE or want to be one, and you want to check out our product, you can do it for free. We have a community tier that's free, and you can check it out and give me your feedback. It would really help me do my job better if I can get user feedback and provide it to the product team. But regardless, it's been fun. So hopefully I will see you again, and I'll definitely stay on as a part of this server and see what else the
yeah.
future has in store.
Thanks, Udi, for joining us
Okay.
today, and thanks for giving us your time. It was a very nice session.
Eh, Absolutely. Thank you, and have a good day. And see you next time.